Hey, good morning, December 3rd. It's day 3 of Grow Your Faith Challenge. Today, I want to share a story with you, a story when God clearly showed up in my life. I actually have two of those, but I'll save the other one for another time. And I'm just going to share it with you and then look to see where you've had the opportunity to see God in your life. So, most of you know that I have a daughter who passed away a couple of years ago. Her name is Charlotte, and Charlotte was in the hospital, catastrophic illness most of her life. We had many hospital visits with really extreme things going on. One of the times that I'm thinking of, she was not yet 3 years old, and she had gotten RSV, which is a virus, a respiratory virus that with kids who have heart and lung issues, it can be fatal and very serious. And that was her. So she got the RSV. The inflammation in her lungs was so severe, she needed to be put on a ventilator. And, the ventilator is putting oxygen in and creating pressure to make the lungs expand and contract. The pressure of the ventilator that she needed to get the expansion and contraction was also blowing holes in her lungs because the lung tissue was so inflamed. So they had the machine turned up to 100% oxygen, which is actually damaging. Oxygenation at that level is very damaging. Room air that you and I breathe is like 21% oxygen. So she was on 100% oxygen. They had the pressure up as high as it could go, and it was blowing holes. She had 5 holes in her lungs. So what they do is they put a tube in to re-expand the lung, because the lung collapses when there's a hole because the pressure drops, right? So they would put a tube in. She had 5 tubes in, and air was leaking out of those tubes. So her whole body was swollen because air was leaking underneath the skin all throughout her body. So her body looked like the Michelin Man, right? All like swollen. You couldn't see the creases of her legs and her neck. And her lips and her tongue were black because she's even at that level where they had the oxygen as high as it could go. The pressure couldn't go any higher because it was blowing holes. She still wasn't getting enough oxygen. Her sats were her lungs were so damaged. She couldn't convert the oxygen and put it into the bloodstream. So she was in like the 70s, I'm going to say 77% oxygen, which is really severe. So this was going on. I was there every day watching the monitors, hoping, praying that something would change. And on a Friday, the attending doctor in the critical care came to me and he said, "We need to talk about when enough is enough. When is your husband going to be here?" Because I was there by myself, so the 3 of us can talk. And I said, "He's not coming today." And he said, "Well," and this is at New York Presbyterian Children's Hospital of New York. At that time, it was number 2 in the country for children's hospitals, and so kids came from everywhere. And he said to me, "She's one of the sickest kids we've ever seen. She's one of the sickest kids we have here right now. And, there's nothing else we can do." So that weekend I went home and I pretty much laid in fetal position. My son was about 4 at the time, and he just sat with me. And I braced myself for what was coming. Monday, Mike and I together went into the hospital. And it was a new doctor because they change shifts every week. So Monday brings a new attending doctor. And this was somebody that we knew well because we'd been going there for 2 years pretty regularly. And, we said, "We're here for to talk about what needs to be done." And he said, "Oh, no, I don't think we're at that point. Charlotte has shown us many times that she can surprise us. And I don't think we're there," which was totally not what I was expecting. So at that point, Mike went to work. I stayed at the hospital. And this was in January. And it was the day before my niece's birthday. So actually, in the meeting with the doctor, I said to him, "Please, can you wait till after tomorrow because it's my niece's birthday, was her third birthday. And I said, I don't want my family to forever, have her birthday and Charlotte's death on the same day. And that's when he said, no, I'm not ready to do that, thankfully. So anyway, I go back to her room and I sat there and I prayed. And I prayed, can I tell you, in a way that I had never prayed before. And prayer for me had been like, I don't know, maybe like it is for a lot of people, like, okay, dear God, please, whatever my asks were. And amen. All right. That was kind of like how prayer was for me. And this day I went in and I'm looking at the monitor. Now this had been going on for, it's the end of January, and it had started before Christmas. So 5 weeks, she'd been 5 weeks on a ventilator, not getting enough oxygen, which causes brain damage, etc. And I just prayed from my heart. Like, if I could tell you the difference in how I felt, I don't know how to describe it. And I was crying and I said, God, please, 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 I'm begging you, because you're the last place to go. The doctors have done everything that they can. The machine is as high as it can go. There's nowhere else to turn. If she's needs to go, I can accept it. But if she can stay, I am begging you, please, to step in and help her. Please help her. And as I watched the monitor, after 5 weeks of no change, within 15 minutes, her oxygen started to go up. So from 77, I'm sitting there watching it, all of a sudden it was 79, 79, 80, 80, 79, 80, 81. I called the nurse and we stood there together and watched her oxygen levels in her body rise within 15 minutes from 77 to the high 80s. As it got to the mid 80s and didn't drop again, she ran and got the doctor. And then the three of us stood there and watched her oxygen rise before our eyes within minutes of the prayer that I said to God from the bottom of my heart in a way that I had never prayed before. Never. Even when she was first born and given last rites on the night she was born, I didn't know how to pray from that level. So it still amazes me when I think about it. But I know that those are extreme circumstances, and maybe you haven't had something like that in your life where you had to go into your deepest gut and trust and just trust and ask. And then I don't know if I believed it would change, but I trusted that it could. And within minutes before my eyes, it did. So that's my story today about grow your faith in God. Having Charlotte as a daughter was one of the most faith growing experience of my life. My faith deepened. It didn't take a hit, it deepened. A lot of that had to do with her dad's faith, Mike, very, very strong in his faith already. But just in seeing over and over again how she could turn around and knowing it was the power of prayer. So I have a couple of other examples about that happened for me around her, really. And I'm going to share them again. But just look and see, when did something happen and there was no other explanation other than divine love and energy and force stepped in when you needed it to. Okay? That's my grow your faith for today. I would love to hear any stories that you have of any kind of experience, but where you really knew, wow, something just happened. I don't know what it was, but a miracle just happened. Okay? Have a good day. I will see you tomorrow.